Recording it?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Anna did a little slideshow here for everybody. Just obviously this is our first time doing it like this, so everybody be a little patient, bear with us, because this is not necessarily gonna be the easiest thing. Basically, we just want everybody to be orderly. I will do my best to keep this orderly, and if when it's time to discuss anything, there's the little hands that people can raise. If there's audience members, there's 2 opportunities for them to speak, and we'll open up the audio at that time for them. So there's just some things on how to use it here. What else, Anna, do we have here?
If you want to see just the speaker when they speak, or if you want to do the gallery view, it kind of shows you how to do it. I'm not sure if we have anybody that's audio only. Can someone please let us know if you're audio only?
I'm listening on the phone because I can't. I'm watching, but I can't hear anything from my computer screen.
That's Ed Wittenberg.
This is Ed Wittenberg from Sun News and Cleveland.com.
Hi, Ed. Okay.
I want to read. Oh, he said he could see as well, though, Brandon.
I can see you, but I'm not getting any sound from my computer, so that's why I'm listening on the phone.
Okay.
Right. So as I indicated a minute ago, there's two areas for audience comments during the meeting. Obviously, we'd ask that you state your name and your address prior to speaking, and then you'll be unmuted at that point. And then Anna, if you can slide, as they say.
Oh, I'm sorry. It just tells them how to raise their hand. Yeah. And I think Ed can do that too.
Right, but I think everybody else is aware how to do that because we went over that in the test. All right, so call the meeting to order. Anna, if you would call roll of council, please.
Vincent?
Here.
Harry?
Here.
Silver?
Here.
Klein?
Here.
Bilski?
Here.
Hammett? Duber?
I'm here. And just a note, let's hold off on anything. We're gonna wait on anything Corona related until towards the end, and we'll have a specific spot to talk about that. So let's hold off on any Corona related items. I will make a motion to appoint Michael Cuthbertson as a part-time firefighter paramedic. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Bilski. And Chief Wilson, would you like to?
Yeah, Michael comes to us. He's got his 240. He's a paramedic. He is not working right now, so this really works out well for us because we need a body. And he has all the qualifications, and I would like to have him appointed to me. If you could, please.
Any questions? Anyone? Comments? Not. If you could call roll, Anna, please.
Vincent?
Yes.
Harry?
Yes.
Silver?
Yes.
Klein?
Yes.
Bilski?
Yes.
Duber?
Yes. And I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the March 4th, 2020 special council meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Judd, I think I heard you. Does anybody have any comments on the minutes? Not, then if you would call roll, please.
Vincent?
Yes.
Harry?
Yes.
Silver?
Yes.
Klein? Klein, I'm sorry. Did he say yes?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Bilski?
Yes.
Duber?
Yes.
Brandon, they've got a lot of background noise. Can we just mute people except for you for now? And then
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm having a
Sure.
hard time. All right, let's. All right, now you can.
Okay. All right, thanks. Anna, are you gonna go ahead and unmute people?
They can unmute themselves by pressing the space bar, but I'll unmute them. I'm going to
When you're
unmute
calling roll.
everybody when we vote.
Okay.
Make
All
note.
right, so I will make a motion to approve the treasurer's report fiscal year 2020 through January. There's a second. Lisa raised her hand. Okay, so Lisa will second. Does anybody have any, I guess Dana, if you would like to go over the treasurer's report, that'd be great.
Good evening, everyone. The January Treasury Report, you have the cash summary, which shows we have $8,204,000 in our bank account. And our revenues for January for all funds were $727,400. And our expenditures were $728,000. So nothing earth-shattering there. Most of the expenditures were out of the general fund. And you all have the general fund revenue and expenditure report that outlines what we've spent compared to the budget. So January's 8% of the year. For the most part, I highlighted the areas that had a more significant increase than the 8%. And the reasons for that is that we had some that were annual payments. For example, our property liability insurance, workers' comp. Under the council, we paid for the codified ordinance update. There were some dues that were paid for the year and those types of items. And there's a couple items where we had carryover December bills. The invoices didn't come at the end of the year. So we've paid December and January invoices got paid in January, and therefore you would have a higher than 1/12 of a monthly expenditure. Outside of that, there was nothing unusual for the month of January. That being said, in light of everything going on, just wanted to say that we are looking over the budgets. We are looking at our capital expenditures and some other expenditures that we are using that we could hold off on in light of what's going on. And I have been watching the revenues and working with the Regional Income Tax Agency in terms of our income tax, but really we're not going to have anything significant to, and be aware of the significance of it until we start collecting monies, which would probably be at the end of April. So it might not be till May till we actually see the impact, because our January revenues are really collecting like December's monies. The February revenues are kind of collecting December and January. So it's going to take us a while before we actually know that full impact. But we are monitoring things. I've been talking to them even though they're working from home, and also looking at our admissions tax and lodging tax. I anticipate we might have some issues with some of the property taxes with an increase in delinquencies potentially, and obviously interest rates. With the interest rates going down. So, we are aware of some of the things, we're watching them, but it's really a little too soon to tell the impact on our total budget. So that's it for the treasurer's report.
Great, thank you. Does anybody have any comments on the treasurer's report? I'm not getting any yeses. So Anna, if you would call roll on the treasurer's report, please.
Vincent,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
Silver,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Bilski,
Yes.
Duber.
Yes. And I'll make a motion to approve the tax administrator's report February 29th, 2020. There's second. All right, Stacy. Dana, if you would again, please.
Thank you. Okay, you have the treasurer's report with our gross collections for the month of February for all revenues is about $633,000, which is about $151,000 higher than where we were last year. And our year-to-date is $1,072,000 compared to $874,000 last year. So we're about $200,000 up for the month of February. On a strictly 1/12 margin, we're about where we thought we would be from a budgetary standpoint. Again, it's looking really good for February because again, this is like December and maybe early January distributions or filings. So it's looking good for now. And again, it won't be until maybe April or May before we know anything further.
Thank you. Does anybody have comments? All right. If not, if you would call roll. Thank you, Dana.
Thank you.
Sorry, Vincent,
Yes.
Sherry,
Yes.
Silver,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Bilski,
Yes.
Duber.
Yes. And moving on to discussion of the bills to be paid in the month of March in the amount of $143,205.10, and additional February expenses in the amount of $277,486.16. Does anybody have comments on the bills? Yes, Stacy?
I just have a question. I know it's too early to tell and a lot like her last answer, but I'm just wondering if we have any sense of how the business shutdown at Pinecrest is going to affect we were on this roll that the schools were going to be getting a lot of money and that a lot of more money was coming in, and obviously this is affecting it.
The mayor.
Dana, do you want to?
Well,
answer
I
that?
want to.
You see her mayor has her hand.
I want to.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't see you. You weren't on my screen, Mayor. Go ahead.
Well, so that answers my question. So we can only see the people that are on our screen?
Well, I just
You
didn't
have to
flip.
swipe.
Sorry, I didn't swipe.
Can you see me now, Brandon?
No, I see you. You just weren't on my main screen.
Okay. So let me respond to Stacy's question. Yes, we are analyzing what would happen if things didn't come in at all. Now, we can go entity by entity, and the Regional Income Tax Agency, actually the state, made a rule that we can ignore the 20-day rule. So if all those employees that are in the office buildings are working from home, their income taxes are still going to come to their headquarters in Orange Village. Ordinarily, pre-COVID-19, once somebody works more than 20 days in their community, we would have lost all that income tax. So are we going to lose some? Yes. Well, do we talk about it weekly? Well, yes, frequently. I was calculating in my head earlier today that if we don't get anything from Pinecrest, the leaf we could get will cover the additional expenses that we assumed we would have before we started income tax sharing. Would that affect the schools? Yes, of course, next year that would. We're about to issue them $1.2 million based on last year's results. I am not fearful from Orange. I'm more fearful for the rest of the world and the rest of the region and many other places. When they start to hurt, we will constantly adjust and review. Now, one thing I can tell you now, we have put off all hiring that we had budgeted in the budget. We have put off all, that long list of wish list things that we were budgeting for
Mayor,
over 4 or 5.
Mayor, no, I don't mean to interrupt, but I kind of want to stay away from Corona stuff,
Okay.
No, and this is all good stuff, and we have to get back to this. I think it's the budgetary stuff that we were going to all discuss after.
Whenever you're ready.
I think this is obviously an important discussion, but this is part of the discussion that I wanted to kind of wait for, because it's.
Okay, but Brandon, why don't I see you?
You swipe your screen, Mayor.
She needs to use a computer.
Okay, that's the only way I can see you, though.
Yeah.
But then you can't see me.
So we'll get back to that. Sorry for cutting you off. Dana, I see your hand is up. I assume you wanted to talk about the budget stuff as well.
Well, I just wanted to reiterate with the Pinecrest distribution for the December 31st, 2019 revenue year to date, that calculation has been done, and by the end of the May, we would then distribute the income tax share to the schools. And out of almost $1.4 million in income tax, the schools are going to get $351,000 of that share, and that's based on 2018. And taking into consideration the consumer price index. I've already sent those reports over to Todd Puster at the schools. They also, this last week, received a percentage of the property taxes. A good chunk of that goes to the trustee to handle the Pinecrest project, but the schools do get a portion of that as well. I didn't bring that form with me, unfortunately, to give you that dollar amount, but it was over 300, almost $400,000, I believe. And now that check was already sent to the schools. So I just wanted to state what we were doing for May for the schools with regards to the income tax collection.
Thanks,
Nice.
Dana.
Does anybody have any comments on the bills for March? No? Okay. All right. If there's no comments on that, we'll move on. I will make a motion to declare a 1999 U.S. cargo enclosed trailer, VIN number PL 500 J27X1037913, as surplus to be disposed of at the mayor's discretion. Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks, Scott. Does anybody have any comments on that? Mayor Jazugan?
What exactly is this, Bob? Zugan.
We're getting rid of a 1999 landscape trailer we use for all our landscape equipment. This item was actually placed on order, purchased prior to all this stuff that's going on. It will be here in a couple weeks. So since it's business as usual, I'm asking to get it surplus as we do with most of our equipment. So again, mayor's discretion, but more than likely we will go to Gov Deals, which has been our route for disposal of equipment.
Thank you. Stacy?
Is this something that could be put to use in some way while this crisis is going on? Does it have a use somewhere else?
In my opinion, no. It certainly can be discussed about with the police chief and fire chief and see if there's any need. And, we can pull the trigger on disposing of this at our discretion once it's approved. If we want to delay it, it's just a matter of delaying it till we want to get rid of it.
Any other comments? All right. Anna, if you call roll, please.
Vincent,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
Silver,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Bilski,
Yes.
Duber.
Yes. I will make a motion to approve the Dominion East Ohio Preferred Municipal Pricing Program. Is there a second?
Second.
I don't care.
Bob Zugan.
Thanks, Judd. Mayor, do you want to?
Bob Zugan, please.
Dugan? Okay, Dugan, if you would.
Yes, we're looking to enter into, agreement with NOPEC, just like we would do with the electric aggregation. We're going to recommend doing this with the gas aggregation. Right now, we're paying roughly about $3.94, and the aggregate is a fixed rate for 2 years. We'll roughly save about 90 cents per about 25 to 26% range on our cost for gas. So there is no obligation as far as we can bow out anytime we want, but you would have to wait a time period to come in. So with any, agreement, our option is variable rates, and I'm sure most people are familiar that fixed rate is normally the way to go. So early upfront savings should take care of all that.
All right, thank you. Does anybody have questions? If you would call roll, please, Anna.
Vincent,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
Silver. Oh, you're on mute, Brent.
Sorry, yes. Thank you.
Klein,
Yes.
Bilski,
Yes.
Duber.
Yes. Moving on to the audience comments relating to agenda items only. Are there any audience members?
There are two. I'm going to unmute everybody again right now. in case.
Are you including Brent's kids? There's two of them?
Well, I don't see two, Alex. I see Jonah. Where's the other?
What? Ed
He was
Whitmer?
behind earlier. I don't know if he's still
Everybody.
there.
I haven't heard it.
Wait, I don't see anyone but Ed and Brent's kids.
Yeah.
No, that's not true, Mayor.
Oh, I can't scroll, listen.
You have to
Okay.
scroll. There's two other people at the bottom.
There's another Bob, and there's Kelly Wolf.
Okay, so if there's any audience members, does anybody have any comments relating to the agenda items?
Okay,
I will take-
I'm muting them now since.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, moving on to new business, ordinance 2020-6, an ordinance authorizing the village to participate in the Ohio Department of Transportation ODOT winter contract for road salt, take any other action necessary to participate in the bulk purchasing of road salt for the 2020-2021 winter season and declaring emergency. This is on for first reading. Administration has did a suspension of the rules. I will make a motion to suspend. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Who was that first?
I think Klein, I don't know. Does it-
Okay.
Maybe somebody else.
Thank you, Klein. And if you call roll on suspension, please.
Can I ask a question about suspension? Why do we need to suspend the rules on this?
Has to be passed tonight.
Okay.
And if you call roll on suspension.
I'm sorry?
If you would call roll on suspension.
I'm sorry.
Please.
Vincent,
Yes.
Carrie,
Yes.
Silver,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Bilski,
Yes.
Duber.
Yes.
Brandon, can I explain a little further to her?
Well, sure.
Well, Stacy, this is also an emergency, which means if you pass it in the next motion, it will be immediately effective, which will be before the April 30th or near the end of April. There's a deadline that we have to get our order into ODOT. Now, they are trying to be a little flexible by not meeting everyone's resolution right away, but we feel better if we have all our ducks in a row and all our paperwork in by the deadline. This happens every year. We always suspend every year. This is a one reading thing. And we are merely saying yes to the state of Ohio that they can bid our salt for us, and we guarantee we will buy 90% to 110% of the amount we tell them that we're going to need next year. And Bob Zugan's a whiz, and he figures that all out, and we need them. And so this has to be a now.
My question was just because it was for the 2021 winter season and we're just still at the end of our that's why I was asking. So thank you for
You know, government is on the forefront of everything and way ahead of the curve.
Right.
Maybe.
I will make a motion to pass ordinance 2020-6. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
I think Stacy had her hand first, so we'll give her it. Does anybody have any questions, any further questions on this? If not, if you would call roll, please, Anna.
Vincent,
Yes.
Carrie,
Yes.
Silver,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Bilski,
Yes.
Duber.
Yes.
I just
And
noticed
moving
went
on.
from Washington to the Cleveland Stadium. I did.
Moving on to ordinance 2020-7, an ordinance granting the Cleveland Electric Illuminating Company, CEI, an underground electrical easement at 4600 Lander Road, Orange Village, Ohio, and authorizing the mayor to execute all necessary documents on behalf of Orange Village. This is on for first reading.
May I speak? This
Sure,
needs
please.
to be referred to planning and zoning, which is why we're moving it ahead tonight, even though we don't have any scheduled planning and zoning meetings. This is one of the small steps that advance the playground bathroom project. This is just the piece that gets electricity back there, which we want to do anyways. These are all smaller pieces of it. When we're ready to do the big piece, we will evaluate where the world is on that day and, rethink it all. But this is just getting the easement in so that we can have the electric company lay a line down. And I don't see Bob making faces at me, so I must be saying it all right.
You hit the nail on the head there. This is something we want electric in our park. We have to provide an easement to First Energy to put the transformer in and to run the power back. We don't do it. We don't have power in the park.
So we just need this referred to P and Z, and you'll see it again sometime in the future.
Referred it is. All right, moving on to audience comments relating to matters which advance the good of the village. Again, Anna, is there anything else on?
I'm unmuting all. Do you see Julie's now on?
Yeah, I see Julie.
But I'm trying to unmute her. She must be muting herself.
Well, but I'm assuming she's not going to be making comments, so.
Okay. Anybody else? There's one other person.
It's the same one as before. I think it's Ed calling it. So,
Ed Wittenberg.
yeah,
What did you say?
right. So, all right.
And Jonah.
All right. So now, before we go on to committee reports and comments by council members, I think it would be appropriate to have the mayor at this point discuss, I guess, everything that's going on Orange Village wise related to COVID-19. I think it would be good to have the mayor, if you don't mind, explain, where the village is at, what the village has been doing, what you've instructed the departments to do, what the departments are doing, concerns that they might be having or not having, and I guess get us up to date on everything. I know that, I believe that, you've done a really good job of communicating everything with the village, but I think it would be good for you to discuss a little bit. I think it would be good if you could to discuss the budget and a little bit as you were, and what we're looking at in terms of budget changes and other matters. So I'll turn it over to you now, Mayor, and we can go from there. If I'd like to keep council's comments, hold them for the moment. If you do have questions on a specific topic that the mayor is covering, use the little hand raising icon so we can get to that. But let's try to stay on the topic at first, and then everybody will have an opportunity to say whatever. So thanks.
Okay, thank you. Am I visible and well placed on this projection thing?
Yeah, yes, you're perfectly placed, Mayor.
Okay, boomer, right? Okay. I wanted to start by saying that I could talk about this for probably 2 hours at least, but I'm trying to give you the condensed version, as I see some heads shaking back and forth now. Just so you know, and I think some of the things I'm going to say might require us stepping back and explaining a few things that I think some of our new council people might not even be aware of, that will explain a lot of what they do or don't see right now. So let me start with, it's just an absolute fire hose of information that's coming at us nonstop. I just want everyone to know that I am listening to many teleconferences today. I actually had the privilege of listening to one that had Dr. Fauci on it, and Larry Kudlow, and tomorrow Armin Budish, and every level of government. But if you must know, I am very grateful that we live in the state of Ohio, where our governor really is doing a very good job of producing factual, clean, clear-cut, concise leadership on this whole thing. So we really depend on the Ohio Department of Health, under the direction of Dr. Amy Acton, and the Cuyahoga County Board of Health for most of the documents that we are following. In addition to my education on COVID-19, and I hope you're all sitting comfortably, our fire chief, our police chief, and to a lesser degree, every department head is involved in their professional organizations' introduction and plans. I know today the chief was going to have a fire chief meeting, and he was going to tell me later, which I haven't talked to him, whether the requirements were upped, if anything was required. Bob, were they? Okay, we'll get into that, but something might have changed today in terms of protocol, in terms of procedure. This is why it's a fluid, constantly moving thing. So the police chiefs and the fire chiefs have a long history of working together. The police department we have an agreement with 16 other communities. It's called the Valley Enforcement Group. And those police chiefs have met regularly. I think it's monthly. I think it's monthly. And since Castro's not on video, I can't see if he's shaking his head or not. And they strategize, they plan, they talk to each other, they develop relationships. Same with the fire chiefs. The fire chiefs talk all the time. They also have a regional group called the HAZMAT, and they take care of any chemical needs, and they have it goes on and on. Let me just end it by saying the safety forces have been for decades working on cooperation, participation, backup, safety, helping each other. They've got it down pat. Every time they've ever tested it, it's worked. They've never tested this before, but so far, I also would like to just make this, you'll decide whether this is a relevant point or not, but of our department heads, and then including myself, I'm talking Chris Kostura, Wilson, Zugan, myself, and Anna, there is 158 years of Orange Village service. And adding Dana and Bob McLaughlin, we have an additional 60 years of municipal service experience. That's 218 years. What does that mean? It means that our department heads have had the time to develop relationships, to see almost everything, to have worked with all their counterparts. It doesn't guarantee anything. It just, I think, hopefully puts us a step ahead, gives you some assurance that there's a team in place that have worked together for decades and know how to do it. I can't quantify what that means. I just believe that means a lot. And again, they've all been training for these kind of things. All right. Early in March, Brandon started exchanging some emails with C. Byron and included me, and at least on some of them. And questions were asked about declaring an emergency. Now, for the life of me, I don't know what that would do for us that we can't already do. I have zero plans to send money out to every resident. I don't know if you need it to do that. I really have no idea. Many years ago, during the H1N1, I remember asking Steve what it meant, and we talked about it at the time. We're not missing anything. I have not asked council to consider raising the spending limit as other communities have done, and I've been following what others are doing. But we do already have in place a procedure that allows us to do an emergency spend of greater than 15,000 and less than 50,000 just on the signature of 4 council people. This happened once in all of our tenure. That doesn't feel to us like an obstacle. Our police and fire department already have the right to do whatever they need to do in an emergency and sort it out later, whether that means busting in a door or whatever. In terms of succession, I know other communities have put out succession plans. We know our succession plan. Anything happens to me, don't get excited, Brandon, but don't let anything happen to me. But Brandon would be next in line. After that would be Scott Bilski. And then after that, there would be a vote among the remaining 5 council people as to who would be in. Every department head has a succession plan. Again, there really isn't much of a succession plan to have in the building department because there are not, I mean, I know all our neighboring communities will help us because I have made that commitment verbally and directly with our neighboring mayors, as our police chief has with the neighboring police chiefs, and as our fire chief has as well. But McLaughlin's in a unique spot. We'll cover that, we cross that bridge when we get there if we had to, but as he has a plan to get us in place for the future, it just can't happen overnight. So that's the only spot where we'd scramble, but we'd figure it out. Stay healthy, Bob McLaughlin. And the other departments have done, okay, personal protection equipment. We have enough. We have, Bob Wilson has been appointed as our head person for COVID-19 response and management for Orange Village. He has put out emails once each for the last 2 weeks to all the employees, telling them what protocol they must follow. He's getting his orders from the CDC. He's following, again, the Ohio Department of Health and the Cuyahoga County Board of Health and the fire chief directives. And all of our employees right now are taking temperatures before they come in, or they've been asked to. We have nobody who has yet shown symptoms, asked to stay home because they had symptoms or were having childcare problems or were uncomfortable coming to work, in which case we would have accommodated everyone. But at this point, our administrative staff, they are all far apart from each other, and the rest, you know, are essential. Bob Zugan has a backup plan in case he needed to split his department up and spread them out over times. Nobody is needing to do any of those contingency plans as of now. We have reached out. Well, what we've done with all that information, take it from everywhere. Again, I'm not the expert on SBA loans or how to file for unemployment with the new CARES Act. I know probably a little bit more than most, and I think my biggest skill is that I can get the resource or get somebody to the right answer, even if I don't know it. So we ask all of you to know that we are screening all of the, I must get 30 COVID news emails a day. I screen those down to what I think are the most relevant 8. And then Anna has the further job of making sure it's not a duplicate or it's not in conflict with something we've already posted. But I ask you all to go to the Orange Village website and look at our COVID resource page. And kudos to Anna. Anna's the one that's done the whole thing. It's a magnificently organized, easy to read resource. We have told all of our residents in e-news and in phone calls, I'm going to say 5 times already, that we are here to help in any way that we can. We have given them the phone numbers. I have given the residents my home phone number. If anybody wants to guess how many have called me, you can text me on my phone now and I'll give out a prize to the winner. We have called every older person that we know about, either because they have a Knox box or because they use senior transportation or because Anna just knows almost everybody. And we have got 9 people signed up for our Orange Cares calling program. Thank you to those council people who have stepped up and other residents who have also stepped up to volunteer to be part of our Orange Cares program at this remarkable, surreal point in time. And we are offering to residents who need groceries or essentials from drugstores or whatever, that there are people that are stepping up and want to help. I'm getting answers. That's why I'm smiling. Okay, so let me just look at my notes again. The number one goal, again, is that our residents understand that they must be informed, and the reliable source of information is on our website. We resource everyone they should want to hear from. That's factual. We put up scam notices. There's horrible scams going on. Our trails in the park remain open. We remind everyone to socially distance when they walk on the trails. The playground, basketball, pickleball courts are all closed. The dog park is open. We are in contact with Kimball. We have asked them to at least give us a week or 2 notice ahead of any changes if that should happen. Don't know if they'll follow that request or not, but when they adjust things, we'll put the word out. As of now, all garbage collection remains as we've had it. Watch, it'll change tomorrow. But as of right now, nothing's changed with our garbage yet. Facebook, maybe not as extensively filled with information as our website, but lots of information there, including a 14-minute video of me talking about this exact same thing that I'm talking about right now. Give me a moment. Pinecrest is certainly going to take a hit, but I've explained to you why some of that hit that I feared a month ago is not quite as bad, but we're on top of analyzing it and watching it. I do encourage our residents, and have done so in public forums, to shop Orange Village businesses. By the way, there are tenants still going forward during this time. If you saw on the bills to be paid, our professionals are still being paid, and projects are advancing. Whatever that means, we'll know soon. or doesn't mean. Our construction projects are proceeding. On April 6th, the trails will start up again at at Lander and Harvard and move to Orangewood. They'll start at Orangewood and Harvard and move east to Lander. Again, the project will start at Harvard and Orangewood, and they will move east to Lander. They have been advised to limit their exposure to residents. They have been advised how to proceed in a COVID-19 environment. For those of you who ask why we are forging ahead, if anyone has that question, construction by the state of Ohio is still considered an essential business. We have a contract with them. We would be in violation of contract provisions if we told them they couldn't come in, please delay for 2 or 3 months. So they are going ahead. They have been given very good instructions by Bob Zugan. We will, of course, be on the watch for that. The Miles Road Culvert Program has been let. You approved that at the last meeting, but we have not, I don't think we've had the pre-con meeting. I haven't seen the starting date yet, not known yet. So we'll proceed with that. The garden will be open this year. There's been very extensive instructions given to all the garden members. They must bring their own wipes, wipe the gate, wipe the handle, wipe the key, wipe your tools. In fact, bring your own tools to the garden. Don't touch anybody else's. Being outdoors is a healthy, desirable thing to do at this time. I hope that our residents can act grown up enough and follow those very basic social distancing rules and not to be cold, but if somebody's uncomfortable with that, they can just skip this year at the garden. I guess if the Board of Health rules something different, we'll adjust, we'll adapt, we'll cancel it. The summation of everything is that Orange Village continues to provide all necessary services to our residents during this crisis. Orange Village administration and service department staff are currently working, but there is limited access to the offices. Due to the COVID-19 operational restrictions provided from the Ohio Department of Health, the building department has made changes to their office and inspection procedures. Those are posted on the building department page on our website and at the building department itself, what those procedures are. It has to do with no direct contact. They can leave the plans in the hallway, and then we can leave permits in the hallway. Where necessary, Bob McLaughlin can do a inspection over FaceTime or Zoom, or one of those things, but he's following the protocol set by the state. Our safety forces are taking all necessary precautions as set by the CDC and the Ohio Department of Health. Our staff is trained and are prepared to respond to the needs of our residents. Again, please refer all residents to the website. To anyone here on council, if you ever have a question, don't hesitate. Call one of us, call me. We will, even if you don't know the answer, we'll tell you how to get the answer. That's the job of being on council, is not knowing everything, but knowing how to get the answer. And we will help you with that. I do have 1 or 2 more things to sum up with. I think what I was saying, I started talking about the succession of the mayor. And by the way, I have been staying at home. They have asked me not to get too close to them because I have a niece who lives in New York. She works for the Federal Reserve, and she has come to stay in my house. Although she quarantined 2 weeks before she came here, and she's quarantining now. She is helping save the national economy. She's on the Federal Reserve team, putting out the $4 trillion of infusion into the economy. So at least from my basement in Orange Village, we are saving the world. But I'm trying to focus on just Orange Village. We are all here. Nothing has changed. We are going with whatever whichever way the reliable sources tell us to. And each department, I don't think I said that, but each department does have, oh, I did, because then I talked about how the building doesn't. Okay, I don't want to start repeating myself. Brandon, please tell, oh, the budget. Okay, the budget. Very aware that this could have significant, and I believe long-term impacts, not only to the way we live our life, not only to Orange Village budget, but to the way we live our life. And I think it remains to be seen, a lot of the ramifications and repercussions. If I can put your mind at ease as to where we are right now, we do have I don't want to be coy, maybe Dana can pipe in here. That $8 million is not all ours to spend. I got it. Maybe 4 million is, oh, even more than that, because money that we have in the 401, which is, let me go over this in more detail then. Money that we have in the 401, which is 400,000. Money we have in the cap, and these are December year-end balances. Maybe I just didn't grab the most recent one. Does anyone want to have me take a moment to find it, or don't care? Okay, I got January's. We have 3.9 million unrestricted, uncommitted, rainy day. We have 300, and we have $1 million in our infrastructure fund right now. We have 2 million in our capital improvement fund. We have a lot of cushions in addition to the 4 million. I'm not being cavalier. We are very careful. Every department head has already been alerted that every new hire that was budgeted in this year's budget is on hold. Every, other than the broken fire, air conditioning in the police department, but every wish list item that can be held off by a Band-Aid is being pushed off. I am urging Bob Zugan to move ahead with the bathroom project. That we have 211,000 in the 403 account. I did not, that's money in addition to everything I've already mentioned. I'll be happy to go over any of this in more detail with anyone. But that money is there. We're doing little things like the electrical just to get it moving. When we get to the big dollar purchase on it, we will have already looked around again and decided if now is the time or not. But that is one project I am hoping to keep moving forward, and we're doing it little bits at a time. Not only that, but the people we need to help us move it ahead are on weird schedules too. That's the budget. Brandon, did I hit every topic?
Yeah, I mean,
I did. Okay, so should I stop talking now?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, no, that was a good cover of everything, Mayor. Why don't we start with, I see Scott has a question. Let's try to stick it first to questions related to items that the mayor was just speaking of, so we can address any follow-up or whatnot with those specific items. So Scott, if you have comments or questions.
Yeah, thank you for the very detailed update and for letting us know all the behind the scenes there. I have a question for you about the Pinecrest revenues. Can you quantify what % of the tax revenues for Pinecrest come from the offices, which are less affected by this, as opposed to the businesses?
Yes, we can. I can't do it right now as I sit. Dana has created this, and we can make another calculation of that for you and get it to you soon or next time we talk. Or
yeah, for our next meeting, maybe that would be great.
Yes, but I do want to assure you, because I've assured myself that from what we know is still going forward, we won't drop below the threshold, which is our floor, which is at 500,000 to cover our additional obligations that we took on because of it.
Okay, I would just be curious to see what the numbers were prior to this, because I have a feeling the offices are going to more than cover any losses.
Well, one office is 625,000, right? Oh, and Dana has a schedule. She's been working on it. She has it broken down. We can reclass it. She can remake the schedule easily, but we can't give the names of the businesses.
Sure. Okay. That makes sense. But, okay, thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions related to the specific items that the mayor was discussing? If not, what we'll do is when we go around to committee reports and comments, we can bring up other topics, Corona or non-Corona related.
There's topics other than Corona.
Judd. Wait, Judd, you have to unmute yourself.
Unmute, Judd.
There you go.
Unmute. Oh. Hang on a second.
No, you're unmuted.
Am I unmuted?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now? Okay. I reached out to Frances to see how she was doing and if she had any interest in participating in the meeting tonight. And she said not really, but she's greatly appreciative of the Orange Cares. She's received calls from them as well as police to check on her and how she's doing. I also talked with her just this afternoon. And what I wanted to ask was this may seem silly, but how do we become part of that Orange Cares group and helping to support our seniors in the community? Where do we sign up?
It's on our website. You can get to it through the COVID-19 page. It takes you to a link to sign up, or you could just say to Anna, right this minute, sign me up.
Anna, sign me up.
You're in.
That was easy.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
All right. Any other questions related to what the mayor was discussing or any of that? If not, then why don't we move on our regular path here to committee reports and comments by council members. We'll start with you, Ms. Perry. You have to unmute yourself though, first. You're unmuted, you're good.
Okay, hi.
Hi.
I just want to put out a heartfelt thank you to all of our first responders, our fire, our police, and our EMTs. And they are putting their lives on the line and to help protect everybody in our village. And I truly appreciate that very, very, very much. I can't even tell you. And I wish them all well and, you know, that we all get through this safely. I know a lot of people are home and working from home now. So I hope everybody stays positive, stays busy, makes adjustments well. And I also signed up for the Orange Cares. I'm excited to get some calls, hopefully. So thank you, everybody, for everything you're doing.
Thank you.
That's it.
So then next in my brain of moving around, I think it's Mr. Silver.
Yes, thank you. First of all, I wanted to say, I know there was some heavy storms, heavy rain over the weekend. I believe it was Saturday night into Sunday. And I noticed that there was some debris backup in the sewers in Orange Hill Estates. And I know the service department did a great job of coming out to clear that out. So I wanted to give Bob and his team some props for that. I know there was also a concern with the level of the water in the pond in Orange Hill Estates. So they came out, as soon as they were aware of our concerns. And they checked it out and said everything was fine. Water level did go down. I think that's how it's designed to kind of take on some high water when it does, when we get some heavy rain. So thank you, Bob, and to the service department for their attention to that. One thing I did want to bring up as well is that, so I'm on the board of the Orange Hill Homeowners Association, and we did get an email from our management company. Essentially what it was informing us is that landscaping is not considered to be an essential business. The email, I'll read a little bit of it here. It says, any landscapers doing work on any property that is not essential could be charged with a Class 2 misdemeanor. It says, in summary, landscapers are not currently being permitted to do anything cosmetic, so essentially no mowing, no mulch, no spring cleanup, no trimming, no replacing of shrubs, no fertilization. I had my landscaper was out earlier in the week, and I asked him about this, and he indicated that Department of Homeland Security said that landscapers are essential as long as they get permission for the property owner. I passed that on to the management company. They said that's not true. I did a Google search and I got a little more confusion. So there seems to be a little confusion out there about whether or not landscaping is considered to be an essential business at this time. I think it's something that the state needs to figure out pretty quick because we are approaching lawn mowing season probably in the next week or two. And if landscapers can't come out, I certainly don't think it's fair to expect residents with big yards that might be elderly to go out and purchase a riding mower on their own and start cutting their own lawn. So I think just something to keep in mind, that there seems to be some confusion about the status of landscapers. I would imagine that the state would get this figured out pretty quickly once they see lawns getting pretty overgrown and realize that it probably is an essential business. So just wanted to make everyone aware of that. I don't know if anyone has any other.
Steve, do you have any, Steve, Byron, do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, I have seen correspondence from one of the trade unions, and I'm looking it up right now. It's not a union, but it's somebody that advances the interests of landscapers who have taken the position that it is essential services. I've looked at the order, and property maintenance is listed on the things that are accepted under paragraph 12. For service providers who provide services that are necessary to maintaining the safety, sanitation, and essential operations of residences. In my view, I don't think the village should be taking a position saying you can't have landscapers on the property. And if the homeowners association is taking that position, that's not a village issue. But I don't think the village should be trying to shut down landscapers who are providing essential services to folks in the village, provided that they do so in a way that's consistent with the rest of the order, which means keeping social distancing and that sort of thing.
And I would agree with that. And I think we just need to keep in mind, I know there's ordinances in place requiring residents to, cut the grass, and just wanted to make everyone aware that we might need to relax those a little bit if some landscapers are not out there working, in the next couple of weeks or so.
So it is the homeowners association who took the position, or the landscaper for the homeowners association?
So the email came from our management company, which is Barnett Management. And it's, I read you part of it, and it was pretty strongly worded that landscapers will not be permitted to work. My own personal landscaper in my yard was out, I think yesterday or Monday, doing mulch, and I just opened the door and leaned out to him, and I explained to him the email I got, and he said that as far as he knows, that's not the case, and that they are permitted. I have seen other landscapers out doing spring cleanups and mulching and stuff. I think some lawns have been cut already. So like I said, and I did a Google search, there just seems to be some confusion about it right now.
Stacy, relative to that?
Did the letter refer to, can you hear me? Did the letter refer to the communal property? Was it talking about the communal property that the management team oversees, or specific homeowners property?
The way I read the email, and I can forward it on to you, it says, it seems to say that no landscaping is permitted. I don't think it was specific to a community property, an HOA property as opposed to an individual homeowner property.
Do you have any other comments, Brent?
No, that's all I got. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Moving on to Birthday Boy Bilski. Oh, you're muted. There you go. Oh, muted again.
First off, I want to echo Lisa's comments, thanking the first responders for everything they do on a normal basis, and especially now, where they're certainly putting their lives at risk for us, and it's certainly appreciated. I want to compliment Anna and those who are involved in the COVID website. It's very informative, and I think that's great if we can keep broadcasting that location like the mayor has done in her calls. It's very, very informative. It's nice to have a one-stop shop for all current information. I had a question. I don't know if this is a Chief Kostura question or a Zugan question about the rec trails. Are we concerned about any increased traffic, people cutting through Orangewood when that Harvard construction starts again?
Answer that.
Okay, Mayor, have at it.
There is so little traffic everywhere right now.
Okay, that's what I figured you'd say, but I was just curious.
Okay. Chris, you have a better answer?
No, but we did change the direction of travel, where it
Right.
was closed westbound previously, or closed eastbound previously. Now it's going to be closed westbound. So people coming off the freeway coming home are going to have no need to go through Orangewood. And So the amount of people going through Orangewood to get to Harvard to go westbound is going to be very, very limited. And of course, we will have enforcement or at least visibility there to discourage anybody to misbehave.
I'll probably be driving through there.
And to add to Chris, Mr. Bilski, that is not a dedicated detour route. Detour routes have been posted, and they're the county roads, so they would be taking Lander, Emery, Brainerd routes. So they have not been directed to go into Orangewood. That being said, somebody using any kind of Garmin or something like that, you know, it might direct them there. And but I think the police will do that enforcement.
Okay, that's what I figured. I know I saw the signs for Emery that were covered up, ready to go, but I figured people who know the area may just decide to cut through there. So we had extra patrol cars like around those first couple of stop signs. That would probably be good and discourage.
Scott, one of the other things is that at this point in time, the traffic is so light. It's remarkable. I've never seen it like this ever.
Okay, and I'm also hoping as this project starts that the warm weather increases. Like over the weekend, I've never seen as many people walking or biking through the neighborhood, and it was like they scattered whenever anybody else was there. People would switch sides of the street and socially distance, which was nice, and everybody seems to be understanding.
I don't have to get N95 masks for my guys. I have to get them some Bengay for their elbows because all the waving they're doing.
That's pretty funny.
I've transmitted to everybody on the call except for Ed Wittenberg, who I don't have your email, Ed, but I've sent you the correspondence that the Ohio Sports Turf Managers Association, the Ohio Turf Grass Foundation, and the Ohio Lawn Care Association have sent out, opining that they believe that their members are essential service providers. And I agree with that. So that's something, Brent, you may want to send off to your association.
Okay, yeah, I agree too. I mean, I think if they can't, you're going to see some massively overgrown lawns here coming into the spring, and nobody wants to see that right now.
Right.
Management companies are replaceable.
What's that?
What's that?
Management companies are replaceable.
Right.
It's true.
My other question is
and I'd hate to see the property values crash in Orange because nobody's cutting their grass.
Mr. Bilski, do you have any more comments?
Yeah, for Bob Zugan. So in an ideal world, if weather and everything else cooperates and the contractor doesn't get called to other jobs like they did last year, what would the timetable be for finishing Harvard and then from Harvard, Hiram, and Lander up to Orangewood on the east side there?
I'd probably be based on an uninterrupted schedule, 4 to 6 weeks. That area doesn't have curbs. It's got drainage ditches and stuff like that, which will delay it. I was clear to them prior to this that to keep us abreast of anything that was going on, because what I can't control is all of a sudden there becomes an issue with supplies or something. If something is either state or federally mandated that supply houses will shut down or something, that's going to be out of our control. But we want to keep a watchful eye on that to make sure people aren't out of their driveways and stuff. So I would expect, 4 to 6 weeks, and that process then from Harvard Lander going north to Orangewood would be a little slower one, because they will be required to maintain traffic there, because it doesn't only affect Orange Village, it affects Pepper Pike as well, which so we will not have road closure there. So all said and done, expect maybe 2.5, 3 months to get those phases done.
And will that be like where they have that temporary light, like when they were doing the parts further north on the Pepper Pike side of Lander, just north of the Orange?
We have not had, we'll have a progress meeting once they're done with the Harvard road run and what their intentions are, because they will have to provide the village what their maintenance plan of traffic is and stuff like that.
And then after that, is that when they'll do your punch list items? Like I noticed on Sunday when I was driving through, there were areas that were covered in water, like on Brainerd, just certain areas of the rec trail. Is that when their time would be to finish up all of your other items?
Well, hopefully, early indication is that they're going to have one crew here. Myself and the village engineer have been talking with them. We quite frankly, want to try and get them addressing some of the punch lists early. Grass establishment, for example, is one, and we don't want them to miss that window of opportunity by pushing it off in all of a sudden June, and it's too warm to start planting grass. So the spring's a good time to get that. So I'll have further information then when that becomes available.
Okay, my last question for you, Bob, is how did you fare with your salt for the year? Do you have quite an excess? I know we've been pretty lucky the last month with next to no snow.
We've met our 90% requirement, so we ended up purchasing about 1,350 tons of salt. I've got about 200 tons available in space in my bin, about 1,800 tons on hand. As you saw with the ODOT contract, again this year with the surplus we have, we kept that number low of 1,500 for next year. So yes, we're in good shape.
Okay, and thanks for a good winter snow removal season, and hopefully you can take those plows off or never have to use them again this year.
We started today.
This season, yes. Thanks.
Yep.
I'd just like to bring up one thing about the trails. Where are we in terms of the alternates now? I mean, those are still within the budget. So what's the, I know that some of those other ones that were outside budget are probably going to be question marks now, but in terms of, I guess more specifically Miles, what is the status of moving forward on that?
We still have full intention of doing Miles Road, and you know we still plan on doing all the alternates. I think all the alternates were covered under the $5 million.
Right.
We might find is on Miles Road there'll be some costs which will come out of contingency, which will require retaining walls, or for example, the area between Beacon Hill and West Orange Hill, the installation of curb there, just the way the topography is, and we'll be moving that area a little closer to the road. So, you know, the only thing that comes basically in question is where we're going to end up with and how we'll move forward with Orangewood.
I guess, yeah, no, I guess my question is more in terms of timing.
Timing, the plan of timing will be Harvard Road first, then Lander Road, and then they intend on moving up to Waterford, that area on Brainerd, Waterford Court, finish up the north side. That way they continue Miles Road in a one-shot deal. You know, if we had them do alternate by step, they'd be bouncing from here and there. Mobilization just doesn't make sense for that process.
So do we expect that to be this year?
It's a great question. I wish I could answer that. I anticipate they will be down on Miles Road, but with situation that's going on, I can't give you a detail.
Mr. Klein?
How it starts.
Somebody, okay. You know, just from looking at the screen, it's like watching an edition of Hollywood Squares. So a little bit of levity there. A couple things. Planning Commission did not meet on its regular appointed second meeting in March. That was postponed, and the agenda was moved to April 7th, and it now looks like the April 7th meeting is also going to be moved as well. I don't know whether there's an update for that at this point, but one of the significant things on the agenda for that particular meeting was a review of the Pinecrest residential component. And I'd hate to see that kind of move out too far into the future, because I'd like council to be able to attend that meeting and listen to the presentation on it. So I don't know if you have an update on that, Mayor, or not.
As of this moment, the meetings are all canceled.
Is there no way that we could conduct these meetings like this?
Well, we don't have the whiteboard installed yet. I don't know how we could show the plans over this little thing. We'll talk about it some more. Bob McLaughlin, who's still with us, did bring up to me that he was going to talk to Steve about maybe being able to move some things ahead. But if Randy's not pushing on that development, since I don't think the whole world is going to move forward on any of this stuff too fast, there's no rush. I mean, I was being inundated with proposals on the Weintraub deal before the COVID-19. I don't even think about it now. I mean, there's no point right this minute.
Okay. Well, you'll let us know.
Bob McLaughlin, do you have anything to add to what I said?
I did speak with Nick regarding getting our whiteboard in, particularly in order to address this kind of moving forward and being able to present plans in this fashion. We will need the whiteboard to do that, but they don't have all of the materials to complete it. They have the board itself, but not a number of other pieces, and apparently the factories have been ordered shut down. So we won't have that equipment in place until mid-May at best. So what?
We could, if we had to, maybe meet in council chambers very far apart from each other, but there's a shutdown order till April, so I don't think we should have any meeting till at least that's lifted.
But yeah, I can still present things in this format. I need to work with Steve and figure out exactly what's appropriate and when we could schedule such a thing. But right now, the Planning Commission meeting, I don't have a calendar in front of me, but I believe it's the
21st.
21st. So for the moment, we haven't canceled the 21st, although certainly we're going to have to do some fancy footwork to make that happen. And I'm hoping we'll be able to proceed somehow.
Well, it would seem to me to be appropriate to at least condense the agenda from stuff that we could view on the small screen, if you will, some of the house stuff that we have to deal with. Maybe the fence for the swimming pool can be dealt with, in that way. But I hate to see some of these things get put off when people could be moving ahead with projects. So.
Right, and we do have construction projects. We have a new house that is ready to proceed. So we do need to figure out how to move forward. And I'll have that conversation with Steve and with the mayor, and it'll happen. I'm just not quite sure how. But my goal is to try to proceed to some form of planning commission hearing on the 21st. Whether we'll meet that goal or not, I don't know, but that's my hope.
Okay, we'll find some way to do it.
Yeah.
Find a way to make it happen. Second thing, Mayor, there was a scheduled public hearing for the Beachbrook project on the 30th.
Delayed, not
That didn't happen,
rescheduled yet.
I assume. What are they doing with that? Anything?
Well, Steve, you want to answer? What I've seen is it's delayed and it's not rescheduled yet.
Is that correct, Steve?
That's correct. That meeting did not go forward, and there is no date set because nobody knows when you're going to be able to get everybody in a room.
Okay.
It's not going to be a meeting that's
I
effective.
just didn't want it to sort of sneak in on us without our having an opportunity to attend and participate in some way, hear what's going on.
I would assume that a lot of these projects are gonna go on hold anyways, just for financial reasons.
Some have, some haven't. I know that they're just delayed, so I've got a bunch of those myself. I know that the Pinecrest traffic survey update is now coming due.
How about we just not press that till traffic is back?
Well, my question is that we might want to send a notice to Fairmount Properties to ask them to delay it until such time as the economy opens back up again. Because
Steve, will you talk to Paul about that tomorrow, please?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'd also like to echo everybody else's comments relative to the safety services and our service department work during this challenging period in our community's life. You're doing exceptional work, and I know it's challenging because you guys are forced sometimes to exceed the social distancing rules that are necessary because of the work that you have to do. And last thing I just wanted to touch on, I know it wasn't on the agenda today. I don't want to let it go off our thinking, and that's the vaping ordinance. I saw some adverts on TV this week. Obviously, you have a lot more time to watch stupid TV when you're home, and you sometimes don't have as many choices as you like, but there have been some vaping ads on TV that are scary to me. And I think we need to do what we can. And I know that Steve and I and Chris need to huddle up on this a little bit to figure out enforcement and rules that we might be able to include in our ordinance. So I don't want to forget about it. And everybody, I don't know how you're going to do this, but have a happy Passover. And I know we're going to do it much the same as we're doing this meeting tonight, and which means we can have Passover with our family in California at the same time. So everybody has to make a small brisket and a kettle of chicken soup. So thank you.
Thanks, Jed.
Can I say something before Stacy talks?
Yeah.
Stacy, I did follow up with an email to Lynn Campbell asking about those supplies that you told me about.
Okay, and I'll mention that too. Yeah. So I usually go through my notes from the council meeting beforehand that we had last time. And in part of my notes was that we needed to put something on our website about the coronavirus, which I don't think any of us at that time saw the magnitude that it would be. And I just want to echo what everybody else is saying to express gratitude to everybody here. I think from that day on, I think Anna has heard from me probably every day, and within minutes, hours, if not minutes, the new information is up there, it's posted. You all have been incredibly receptive to, I've gotten questions from our residents, and I've immediately gone on to ask you guys the questions, and I appreciate how receptive you are. I'm sure in your mind you're going, why is she calling now? What does she want to know now? And it wasn't a matter of the fact that the information, that you guys weren't doing anything. It's clearly evident how much you're doing and how grateful we are all for it. I want to acknowledge that for all of our residents to know that this plan is in place, that your 100+ years of collective service are much appreciated. To our first responders for always putting it on the line. You guys are amazing, and I'm grateful. And to Anna for taking all my calls, processing everything, and getting it up on the website as fast as you are, I think is nothing short of amazing. So thank you all. I also want to do a thank you to, we have so many in our community that are doctors and nurses and healthcare workers, including one of our council people. And I just want to say thank you to all of you that really are putting your lives out there for us daily. And it makes your family situation much more difficult, I know, when you guys come home. So I know how hard it is, and I want to say thank you. I also want to do a shout out to Steve Ensler's a doctor in our community, and he has been in constant contact with me about health issues and things just to make sure we're all on the same page as far as what needs to be done and when it needs to be done. And usually I'll get a message from him and then I'll call one of you. And again, that information's back up on our website, but I just want to thank him. I was on a conference call with Senator Portman today. I'm not going to go into details because I'm sure many of you were on it, but he did talk about the federal assistance program that's now in effect. And I want to give a number and a website too that maybe we can add on to ours if it's not already there. The number was 800-205-6446, 800-205-6446, or email portman.senate.gov, or that's a website, and more information is available there if people are looking for help in the assistance area. I'm really glad Kathy gave the overview tonight. I think that was so helpful, and I'm going to go back to my Facebook pages and social media and encourage people to go back and listen to her description. She and I talked about a potential meet the mayor virtually, maybe coming up with people who just want to hear her speak and ask some questions. But I know I won that contest. I know how many people have called you, but I'm hoping maybe this will afford them, if they're interested, the opportunity to listen to what she has to say and then ask questions in response. So we'll see how that goes. But really, I just want to say thank you, everybody. I jumped in on the Orange Cares thing right away because I think it's such an important aspect of what we do. And I do hope our residents will take advantage of that and not feel like they can't call out to us. If they need something, that's what we're here for. So please, please, please call. COVID-19 seems all encompassing, but there are some other things too. A while back, now it seems like an eternity ago, but in early March, I attended a Legal Aid Society event. Actually, Senator Portman spoke at that event too. He just wanted to make sure people were aware that Legal Aid Society has 50 plus full-time attorneys, some 2,000 volunteers, and they're all available with basically their main mission is to ensure counsel when housing is at risk. I don't know how huge an issue it is in Orange Village, but they gave me lots of brochures that I will safe distancingly get to Anna at some point, and we'll keep them in Village Hall for when this clears. But if people are in need, if they have any issues with housing at this time, certainly that's available. A second thing, I want to make sure that you all saw that Woodmere is likely pushing back the widening of Chagrin until 2022 now. I don't know if you guys read that or saw that, but since it does affect parts of Orange Village too, I thought that's pretty significant. Orange School Board met this past Monday virtually, just like we're doing. It was their first virtual meeting. And a couple things from there. If you're not already aware, schools are out at least through May 1st by the state mandate. All Orange Schools buildings are closed. All events are canceled, including the Wild for Orange Foundation event, unfortunately. So if you had that on your plate, it's not there anymore. And no state testing or state report cards this year. The staff and teachers are really focusing on the distance learning. This Friday, there will be a professional development day for staff to further collaborate and go into the next phase of this distance learning. The schools are delivering about 120 SAC lunches daily to students in need throughout all of our communities. And if any of our residents need more information about assisting that, I don't think we can give our school's webpage or our Orange Village webpage enough, and we probably should link the two anyway if they're not already. The Orange Schools page to get more information about anything having to do with the schools or the lunches is www.orangeschools.org. Our village website is www.orangevillage.com. So just to make sure, .com.org to differentiate between the two. What Kathy had mentioned earlier, the board had authorized a donation of gloves and supplies that were purchased for some of the science classes that they're not going to have a need for this year because students aren't in the school right now. So they have asked if they could donate some of those supplies, and I did let the mayor know about that. And I talked to Ted Roseberry, who's the director of business operations, about it too, and he said he'll be in touch with the communities about obtaining some of those items. The treasurer, Todd Puster, discussed possible work as would be expected, and obviously they're working out those numbers too, and I'm sure Dana is directly in touch with Todd about those things as well. The proposed renovation of locker rooms in the front entrance is temporarily on hold, as would be expected. And I would be terribly remiss if I didn't offer kudos to all of the teachers and staff and parents and administrators and kids who are all working so hard to make this distance learning work. I clearly was not meant to be a homeschool teacher. While it is nice to have my boys at home and close by, it's been a very, very difficult process too. And especially people who want to be at college and are home and here and making it all work. So I just want to thank the teachers, the staff, and everybody involved for that, and all of our parents in our community who are just so supportive, and the comments that I see are just so wonderful. I want to remind everyone that primary voting has been extended to April 28th. There's mostly it's not in-person voting. I think there's some exceptions they're making to that, but it's all really going absentee. So please remember that there is a Orange Rec levy renewal on the ballot. It is no new increase. It remains the same at $28 per year per $100,000 home value. They need this to keep operations going. And without people voting in person, we really need people to go get your absentee ballots. And you can do that at voteohio.gov. Just a wealth of websites today. Voteohio.gov, you can pick that up, and please vote absentee, and remember to support our Orange Community Education and Recreation programs. And one more website today is Census Day. I won't say stand up and be counted because we're all sitting, but you can sit and be counted. With all of us at home, maybe it'll be a nice distraction to go on and fill out the census, make sure you are. You should have gotten a postcard that has the information about how to do that, but it's 2020census.gov is where you can find that. Almost finally, I want to thank all of those in all of our communities who have found the rainbow lining in all of this and really built up the sense of community. We started a put a heart in the window, put a smiley face in the window, put a rainbow somewhere. I've seen children doing a chalk art on their driveways. So as people are going walking, keeping the safe distancing, but it gives them something to smile about as they're going around. So if people have any ideas about really just brightening people's moods, to thank our first responders, doing light shows. I've seen people do car parades. Pretty much anything is out there just to, while maintaining the safe distancing, while still being safe, while staying at home. There are things you can do within your own area that just really light up our village as a way to say thank you to all our first responders. So if anyone has any ideas, I'd love to spearhead them, just let me know. And last, but certainly not least, I have a happy birthday to Scott. Thank you for spending your birthday virtually with us. This is supposed to play happy birthday, but I don't know if it's gonna. So here's your virtual happy birthday cupcake, candle, and happy birthday. Thank you.
Thank you. I think everything's been covered. Thank you, everybody, for doing this so easily tonight. Happy birthday, Scott. And appreciate everybody in the administration who's done what they're doing. And I think we're good. Zugan looks really tired anyway, so we should probably end this now. So I think with that, I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. And if you call roll, please.
I was muted. Vincent,
Yes.
Barry. Oh, you're muted, but I see you. Silver,
You're muted. Yes.
Klein,
Before I agree,
Yes.
what's the plan for next Wednesday's meeting insofar as it's,
Well, next one, it's Passover, so there is no meeting next Wednesday.
okay,
Yep.
yes.
okay, sorry. Bilski,
Yes.
Duber.
Yes, ma'am.
Wait.
All right.